All right, let's set the scene. The conquest of Mecca is complete, and the new Muslim state is, well, stronger than it's ever been. But success often attracts new challenges. Just outside the city, the powerful tribes of Hawazin and Thaqif, they see this new power as a major threat. So they gather their forces for what they hope will be a final decisive battle. And the place they choose? A valley called Hunain, a place that's about to teach everyone a lesson they'll never forget. So, the Muslim army marches out, and it is huge. We're talking 12,000 soldiers. I mean, this is the largest force they have ever put together. You've got 10,000 veterans from Medina, plus 2,000 brand new converts from Mecca. For the very first time, they actually outnumber their enemy, and by a lot. But that number, 12,000, it starts to plant a dangerous seed in their mind.
You can just hear the confidence in that, can't you? Maybe even a little bit of arrogance. That's what some of the soldiers were saying. It was this creeping feeling that their numbers made them invincible. It's like they'd forgotten the most important lesson of all. That real victory, the kind that lasts, doesn't come from how many swords you have.
Now, on the other side, you've got the enemy commander, a man named Maalik ibn Auf. He's young, he's ambitious, and he is smart. He knows absolutely that he can't win a head-on fight, not against 12,000. So he needs a game changer. He needs a way to turn the Muslims' greatest strength, all those soldiers, into their biggest weakness. He needed to set the perfect trap. See, Maalik had a home field advantage. He knew the Valley of Hunain like the back of his hand. He knew every narrow gorge, every high cliff, every perfect hiding spot. And he decided he wasn't just going to fight in the valley. He was going to use the valley itself as a weapon, turning the entire landscape into one giant, perfectly designed killing field. Maalik's plan was, honestly, as brilliant as it was brutal. It had a few key parts. First, he gets his men fired up with these intense speeches. Second, and this was a huge deal, he ordered his fighters to bring their families and all their wealth and put them at the very back of the army. Why? To make it psychologically impossible to retreat. Third, he has them perform this deeply symbolic act of commitment. And finally, he tucks his best fighters away into the narrow passes of the valley, just waiting. That symbolic act, they broke their sword scabbards. Now, you have to understand what this meant. It was a declaration. It sent a bone-chilling message to every single fighter. There is no surrender. There is no retreat. You either win this battle or you die on this field. The swords were not going back in their sheaths. Talk about a psychological masterstroke. So as the sun comes up, the Muslim vanguard starts marching into the valley. They're feeling confident, totally unaware of what's waiting for them. The air is still. It's a little too quiet. And they're walking right into the deadliest bottleneck imaginable. And then it happens. The entire valley just erupts into a storm of violence. From the high ground on both sides, thousands of hidden enemy fighters spring the trap. The surprise is absolute. The effect is catastrophic. It starts with arrows, just thousands of them, raining down from the cliffs like a plague of locusts. The Muslim front lines are caught completely off guard, packed into this narrow pass with absolutely nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. They are totally exposed. And that's when panic just takes over. The new guys, the ones who've never seen a fight this vicious, they break and they run. Even the veterans are getting overwhelmed. All discipline just collapses. The narrow pass turns into this crush of bodies, with soldiers literally running into each other, just desperately trying to escape. The whole army is falling apart. This exact moment is captured so powerfully in the Quran. It says their great number pleased them, but in the end, it did them no good at all. The very thing that made them feel so invincible was now meaningless. The whole wide earth suddenly felt tight, like it was closing in on them. But in the middle of all this chaos, all this retreat, there was one single point of complete stillness. One person with absolute, unwavering resolve. Think about this. While his entire army is breaking and fleeing around him, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, doesn't take a single step back. In fact, he does the exact opposite. He spurs his white mule forward, riding directly toward the enemy, straight into the heart of the ambush. And that one single act of pure courage, it was about to change everything. As he's moving forward, he calls out, and his voice just cuts through all the noise and panic of the battle. And what he says isn't just a random statement. It's a reminder to everyone, friend and foe, of who he is, what his mission is, and the legacy of courage he comes from. It was a powerful declaration that leadership had not fled the field. The prophet then turns to his uncle, Al-Abbas, a man famous for having an incredibly powerful voice, and tells him to call out to the soldiers. So Al-Abbas just roars, calling out to the veterans by name, reminding them of the promises they made. And the effect? It was like a jolt of lightning. The companions later said they turned back as fast as a mother cow rushes to her calf, completely ashamed that they had run. And just like that, the companions start to rally. They form this protective circle, and the fight becomes fierce, intense, hand to hand. But right at this critical moment, the battle is about to shift from a story of human bravery to something else entirely, an act of divine intervention. He gets off his mule, bends down, and just scoops up a handful of dust and pebbles from the ground. Then, with a prayer, he throws it towards the enemy army. It seems like such a small, simple gesture, right? But what happened next was anything but. The effect was immediate and, frankly, miraculous. The accounts from the battle all say that this small handful of dust was carried on the wind, and it somehow found its way into the eyes of every single enemy soldier. It blinded them, it confused them, and it completely shattered their morale. The entire battle turned right there in that one single moment. This divine tranquility, what's called sakina in Arabic, it just washed over the believers. It calmed their racing hearts and gave them strength. And the Quran tells us that Allah sent down unseen soldiers, angels, to help them in the fight. The enemy's trap was broken, their ambush had failed, and the same Muslim army that was fleeing for their lives just moments before was now charging forward to a decisive victory. So think about the journey of this one day. It started with an army so confident in its size that it walked right to the edge of total destruction. And it ended with a victory that only happened after they were completely humbled, after they rallied behind true leadership, and after they put their trust not in themselves, but in help from the divine. The lesson of Hunain is crystal clear. Real strength isn't about numbers. It's about faith. Which leaves us all with a pretty important question to think about. Where do we put our confidence?